The stars twinkled in the void, silent witnesses to the horror that approached. For centuries, the galaxy had known peace among its thousands of civilizations. That peace was now being shattered, system by system, planet by planet. Commander Jack Stone stood on the bridge of the Defiance, his weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass of the observation deck. At 45, he had spent most of his life among the stars, serving Earth and its colonies. His short gray hair and the scar above his right eye told stories of battles fought and survived, but nothing in his long career had prepared him for what was coming. "Commander," called out Lisa, a communications officer, "we're receiving another distress signal. It's from Altair this time." Stone's expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened around the railing. Altair was only 3 systems away from Earth. Too close. Far too close. "Put it on screen," he ordered, his voice steady despite the dread growing in his chest. The main screen flickered to life, showing a blue-skinned alien with 4 eyes. The transmission was breaking up, static cutting through every few words. "Vex have entered the system. Defense fleet destroyed. Civilians, evacuation. Please, any ships in range, help us." There. The transmission cut to black. Silence fell over the bridge. The crew of the Defiance had heard similar messages too many times in recent weeks. The Vex were coming, and nothing seemed able to stop them. "Set course for Altair," Stone commanded. "Maximum speed." "Sir," First Officer Tom said, stepping closer to speak privately. "Our orders are to hold position until the fleet regroups at Jupiter." Stone's eyes never left the now-dark screen. "The people of Altair don't have time for us to regroup, and we need to know exactly what we're facing." Tom nodded slowly. He had served with Stone long enough to trust his judgment, even when it bent the rules. "Setting course for Altair," the pilot announced. "ETA 4 hours at maximum burn." The Defiance was humanity's newest and most powerful warship. Its sleek, dark hull stretched nearly a kilometer from bow to stern. Along its length, weapon ports housed the most advanced offensive systems Earth had ever created. The ship was a marvel, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. But would it be enough? 4 hours later, the Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Altair system. Stone had ordered a cautious approach, unsure of what they might find. "Scan the system," he ordered. The science officer, a young man named Marcus, worked his console with practiced ease. "Detecting debris fields throughout the system, sir. Consistent with destroyed spacecraft. Lots of them." His voice faltered. There's radiation consistent with planetary bombardment coming from Altair IV and V." Stone's jaw tightened. Altair IV had been home to over 3 billion people. "Any sign of the Vex?" "Negative, sir. It appears they've already moved on." Stone turned to the tactical display. The Vex had been moving through the galaxy with terrifying purpose, conquering world after world. Each civilization they encountered fell within days. Some fought back, others surrendered immediately. The outcome was always the same. "Show me the projected path based on their previous movements," Stone said. The display lit up with a red line connecting the fallen worlds. When extended, that line pointed directly at Earth. "How many ships did Altair have in its defense fleet?" Stone asked. "Over 200, sir," Tom replied. "Many of them comparable to our own best vessels." Stone nodded grimly. Earth's entire fleet numbered less than 300 ships. If Altair had fallen so quickly, "Take us in closer," he ordered. "I want to see what happened to those planets." The Defiance moved deeper into the system, passing the floating remains of what had once been proud battleships. The crew worked in silence, each person processing the destruction in their own way. As they approached Altair IV, the main view screen automatically darkened to compensate for the glare. Half of the once blue planet glowed red with active volcanoes and lava flows. The atmosphere was choked with ash and dust. "My God," someone whispered. "They didn't just defeat them," Stone said quietly. "They broke the planet itself." "Sir," Marcus called out, his voice urgent. "I'm detecting a faint transmission from the surface. Someone's still alive down there." Hope flared briefly in Stone's chest. "Can you pinpoint it?" "Yes, sir. It's coming from what used to be the capital city." "Prepare a shuttle. I'm going down there." Tom stepped forward again. "Commander, that's against protocol. The radiation alone." "Noted." Stone cut him off. "You have the bridge, first officer." The shuttle descended through the ash-filled atmosphere, buffeted by violent winds. Through the viewports, Stone could see the ruined landscape below. What had once been a magnificent alien city was now little more than rubble and craters. Beside him, Dr. Emma adjusted her environmental suit. "The radiation isn't as bad as we feared," she said. "The suits should protect us for about an hour." Stone nodded. "Let's make it quick, then." They landed near the source of the transmission. As the shuttle's door opened, Stone was hit by the smell of burning and death, even through his suit's filters. The sky above was a sickly orange-red. Ash fell like snow around them as they made their way through the ruins. They found the source of the transmission in what appeared to have been a government building. A single blue-skinned Altarian lay against a wall, a makeshift transmitter beside him. His 4 eyes widened slightly as he saw the humans approach. "You came," he said, his translator device converting his words to English. Stone knelt beside him. "We did. I'm Commander Stone of the Earth ship Defiance." The alien tried to laugh, but it turned into a cough. "Too late for us. But perhaps not for you." "What happened here?" Stone asked gently. "They came without warning. Hundreds of ships, all moving as one. We fought. We fought well." Pride briefly flashed in the alien's eyes. "But they adapted to everything we did. Our weapons would work once, maybe twice, then become useless." "How? How did they adapt so quickly?" "They are connected. One mind across many bodies." The Altarian's breathing was becoming labored. "They learn from each encounter. By the time they reach you, they will have learned from our defeat." Stone felt a chill run down his spine. "Where are they headed now?" "Your home. They spoke of it before they left. Earth is next," they said. The alien reached out with a trembling hand. "You must warn your people." Stone took the offered hand. "We will, and we'll stop them." The Altarian's eyes blinked slowly. "No one has stopped them. Dozens of worlds, all fallen. Earth will be different," Stone promised, though he wasn't sure how. "Perhaps," the alien whispered. His eyes closed, and his hand went limp in Stone's grip. Stone gently laid the Altarian's hand down and stood. "Let's go, Doctor. We need to get back to the ship." As they made their way back to the shuttle, Stone looked up at the ash-filled sky. The Vex were coming for Earth, and they had never been defeated. But there was a first time for everything. The Defiance would make sure of that. Back on the bridge, Stone wasted no time. "Send a message to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. The Vex have destroyed Altair and are headed directly for our solar system." As the message was sent, Stone stared at the tactical display. The Vex would likely arrive at Earth in less than a week. The human fleet was scattered, unprepared. But the Defiance was here, one ship against an armada that had crushed entire civilizations. "Set course to intercept the Vex fleet," Stone ordered. Tom looked at him in shock. "Sir, that would put us directly in their path. Just one ship against their entire force." Stone's eyes were hard as steel as he looked at his first officer. "Sometimes, Tom, one ship is all it takes to change the course of history." As the Defiance prepared to jump to hyperspace, Stone knew the odds were impossible. But humanity had always thrived on beating the impossible. "The Vex think they know what's coming," he said quietly. "Let's show them they're wrong." The Defiance cut through the darkness of space, its engines burning hot as it raced to intercept the Vex fleet. Commander Stone had ignored 3 direct orders from Earth Command to return home. He knew what would happen if he did. The fleet would gather at Earth, they would fight, and they would die just like the Altarians had. Any sign of them yet? Stone asked, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. Marcus shook his head. Nothing yet, sir, but our long-range scanners indicate unusual energy readings 2 systems ahead. Could be them regrouping. Set course for those readings. Full stealth mode. The bridge crew exchanged glances. The Defiance had never tested its stealth systems against an enemy as advanced as the Vex. Sir, Tom said quietly, if they detect us. Stone nodded. I know, but we need intelligence. We can't fight what we don't understand. As the ship changed course, Stone retreated to his quarters. He needed a moment of quiet to think. The small room was sparse. A bed, a desk, and a single photograph of Earth seen from orbit. He stared at the blue planet in the picture, thinking of the billions of lives depending on him making the right choices. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Enter, he called. Lisa, the communications officer, stepped inside. Sir, I've been analyzing the Vex transmissions we recorded at Altair. I thought you should see this right away. She handed him a tablet. On it was a complex pattern of signals, moving in perfect synchronization. What am I looking at? Stone asked. Their communication system. Sir, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. Normal species have delays in their communications. Time for messages to be sent, received, understood. The Vex don't. She pointed to the pattern. See how the signals move. It's instant across their entire fleet. Almost like they're all part of the same organism. Stone finished. The Altarians said they were connected. One mind across many bodies. Yes, sir. And there's more. Lisa tapped the tablet, bringing up a new screen. The signals get stronger when they're in combat. It's like they're sharing information in real time, learning collectively. Stone's mind raced with the implications. That's how they adapt so quickly to new weapons. Every ship experiences what each ship learns. Lisa nodded. Exactly, sir. Thank you, Lisa. This could be important. After she left, Stone studied the data more closely. If the Vex shared a collective consciousness, they might have a collective weakness as well. 3 hours later, the Defiance entered the system where the energy readings had been detected. All non-essential systems were shut down to minimize their signature. The ship drifted forward on momentum alone, its hull dark against the blackness of space. On the bridge, the crew spoke in whispers, as though the Vex might hear them through the vacuum. Visuals coming online, Marcus announced softly. The main screen flickered to life, showing a sight that made everyone's blood run cold. Hundreds of Vex ships were gathered around a small moon. The alien vessels were sleek and organic-looking, with no visible engines or weapons. They moved with unnatural grace, like a school of fish turning in perfect unison. My God, Tom breathed. There must be over 500 of them. Stone leaned forward. What are they doing? Marcus adjusted the sensors. It appears they're mining the moon, sir, extracting resources. And wait. He frowned at his console. I'm detecting unusual energy readings from inside the moon itself. They've bored into it. Can you get me a closer look? The screen zoomed in on a massive hole in the moon's surface. Inside, a strange blue light pulsed. It looks like they're building something. Stone said, record everything. We need to know what we're dealing with. For the next 2 hours, the Defiance observed the Vex fleet from a safe distance. They watched as the alien ships worked with eerie coordination, each one seeming to know exactly what the others were doing without any visible communication. Sir, Marcus suddenly called out. 3 ships have broken off from the main fleet. They're heading this way. Stone straightened in his chair. Have we been detected? I don't think so, sir. Their course isn't directly toward us. Looks like a standard patrol pattern. Hold position. Power down everything except life support and minimal sensors. The bridge went dark as systems shut down one by one. Through the view screen, they could see the 3 Vex scout ships moving closer, their strange organic shapes more threatening up close. "They'll pass within 5 kilometers of us," Marcus whispered. "Everyone stay calm," Stone ordered. The first scout ship glided past, seeming to take no notice of the human vessel. The second followed the same path. As the third approached, a light on Marcus's console began to blink. "Sir," he said, barely audible. "They're scanning us." Stone gripped the arms of his chair. "Hold steady." The third Vex ship suddenly changed course, turning directly toward the Defiance. Its smooth hull began to shift, sections moving and reforming. "They've seen us," Tom said. "Weapons are coming online." Stone had seconds to make a decision. Run and reveal their position to the entire Vex fleet. Fight, and possibly start a war earlier than planned. Tactical, target the lid ship. Maximum power, single shot. Let's see if we can take one down before they alert the others. The weapons officer nodded grimly. Target locked. Fire. The Defiance's main cannon fired a blast of energy that struck the lead Vex ship dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, cracks appeared in the alien vessel's hull, spreading like spider webs. The ship broke apart, fragments drifting in space. "Direct hit," the weapons officer exclaimed. Before they could celebrate, the other two scout ships accelerated toward them, their hulls shifting to reveal weapons. "Evasive maneuvers," Stone ordered. "Full power to engines." The Defiance came to life, its engines roaring as it swerved away from the approaching scouts. The Vex ships fired strange pulses of energy that seemed to distort the space they passed through. "What kind of weapons are those?" Stone demanded. "Unknown, sir, but they're causing spatial distortions. If we're hit..." A blast grazed the Defiance's starboard side. The entire ship shuddered, and alarms blared across the bridge. "Damage report. Hull breach on deck 7. Automatic seals engaged," Tom shouted over the noise. "Whatever those weapons are, they're partially ignoring our shields." Stone made a quick decision. "Take us into that asteroid field. Their coordination might work against them in tight quarters." The Defiance changed course, heading for a dense field of rocks and ice. The Vex scouts followed, firing continuously. "They're adapting to our evasion pattern," Marcus warned. "Each shot is getting closer." Stone smiled grimly. "Then let's try something they haven't seen before. Tactical, prepare to drop mines. Engineering, vent plasma from the rear ports when I give the word." The Defiance plunged into the asteroid field, weaving between the massive rocks with precision that spoke to the skill of its pilot. The Vex ships followed, their movements just as precise but somehow different, less creative, more calculated. "Now," Stone ordered. The ship released a cloud of smart minds behind it, each programmed to home in on the nearest non-human signature. Simultaneously, superheated plasma vented from the engines, creating a blinding cloud. The first Vex scout flew directly into the trap. Multiple explosions engulfed it, followed by a larger blast as its power core detonated. The second scout veered sharply to avoid the mines, only to collide with a massive asteroid. It didn't explode but tumbled helplessly through space, damage. Both scouts neutralized, Tactical reported, unable to keep the amazement from his voice. Stone didn't allow himself even a moment of satisfaction. "What about the main fleet? Have they detected us?" Marcus checked his readings. "Yes, sir. They're all moving. And they're moving fast." The main view screen showed the Vex fleet breaking orbit around the moon. Hundreds of ships moving in perfect formation directly toward them. "Set course for Earth," Stone commanded. "Maximum speed. We need to warn them what's coming." As the Defiance prepared to jump to hyperspace, Marcus called out again, his voice tight with fear. "Sir, I'm detecting a massive energy surge from the Vex fleet. I think they're..." A blast of energy like nothing they'd ever seen cut across space, missing the Defiance by mere kilometers. The shockwave hit them, sending the ship spinning. "Stabilize," Stone shouted as he grabbed his chair to keep from being thrown across the bridge. "That was some kind of long-range weapon," Tom said, his face pale. "If it had hit us, Jump to hyperspace now, Stone ordered. The stars stretched and blurred as the Defiance escaped into hyperspace, leaving the Vex fleet behind. But Stone knew the respite would be brief. They had revealed themselves to the enemy. And now the Vex were coming, not just for Earth, but for them, specifically. Send a message to Earth Command, Stone said. Tell them the Vex are on their way. And they're bringing something new. Something they were building inside that moon. As the message was sent, Stone stared out at the streaking stars of hyperspace. They had faced the Vex and survived. The first to do so. But the real battle was just beginning. They'll be following us, Tom said quietly. Stone nodded. Yes, but now we know something about them. They can be hurt. They can be surprised. He turned to face his first officer. And most importantly, they can be beaten. For the first time since they'd received the distress call from Altair, there was hope in the air on the bridge of the Defiance. It was small, but it was real. And sometimes, a small hope was all humanity needed to achieve the impossible. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Alarms were still ringing throughout the ship from their encounter with the Vex scouts. Damage reports flowed in from every deck. Status report, Commander Stone ordered, wiping blood from a cut on his forehead. Hull breaches on decks 5 through 7 are contained, Tom replied. Engineering reports the main engines are functioning at 80% capacity. Weapon systems are online, but our main cannon needs calibration after that last shot. Stone nodded grimly. And the crew? 3 dead, 17 injured. Dr. Emma is treating them now. Stone closed his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of those losses. When he opened them again, his resolve was even stronger. Open a channel to Earth Command. The main screen flickered to life, showing the stern face of Admiral Wilson. His expression darkened when he saw Stone. Commander, you disobeyed direct orders, Wilson began. Yes, sir, I did, Stone said without apology. And I've brought back critical intelligence about the enemy. Wilson's frown deepened, but he nodded. Report. For the next 10 minutes, Stone detailed everything they had learned about the Vex, their hive mind consciousness, their adaptive capabilities, and the mysterious construction inside the moon. Their entire fleet is now heading directly for Earth, Stone concluded. Based on their speed, we have less than 4 days before they arrive. Wilson was silent for a long moment. Our fleet is still scattered across 3 sectors. We've only managed to recall about 40% of our ships. He looked tired, older than his 60 years. Even if we had them all, after what happened at Altair. Sir, permission to speak freely. Wilson nodded. We can't fight them the same way Altair did. They learn too quickly, adapt too fast. But we found a weakness. Stone leaned forward. Their communication system. It's what makes them so effective, but it might also be their vulnerability. Explain. I'll let our chief engineer do that. Stone gestured, and Anna Reed stepped into view. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail, and her uniform was stained with grease. Admiral, she began, the Vex communicate using quantum entanglement across their entire fleet. It's what allows them to act as one organism. But when we disrupted one of their scout ships, we detected a momentary fluctuation across their entire network. You're saying we can jam their communications? Wilson asked. Not exactly, sir. Their system is too advanced for simple jamming. But we might be able to introduce noise, disruption. If we can broadcast at exactly the right frequency, we might be able to break their perfect coordination. Wilson considered this. How would we generate a signal powerful enough to affect their entire fleet? Reed hesitated, then looked at Stone, who nodded encouragingly. We use the sun, sir, she said. If we can position ourselves correctly and use the sun's magnetic field as an amplifier, we might be able to broadcast a disruptive signal that would affect their entire fleet. That's theoretical at best, Wilson argued. So was their unbeatable fleet, Stone countered. Until we destroyed 2 of their ships. Wilson's eyebrows rose. You actually destroyed Vex ships? Yes, sir. They can be beaten. But not in a conventional battle. Not yet. Stone straightened. Admiral, I'm requesting permission to take the Defiance back out there. To slow them down and test our theory about disrupting their communication. Denied, Wilson said firmly. I need every ship here for Earth's defense. Sir, with respect, if we wait for them to reach Earth, it will be too late. We've seen what they did to Altair. We need to buy time for the rest of the fleet to return, and we need to test our theory before they get here. Reed spoke up again. Admiral, there's something else. The construction we observed inside that moon. Based on the energy readings, we believe it could be some kind of superweapon. If they bring that to Earth. Wilson's face paled slightly. He turned away from the screen for a moment, consulting with someone off-camera. When he turned back, his expression was grim but resolved. Commander Stone, your orders are as follows. Take the Defiance and delay the Vex advance by any means necessary. Test your disruption theory. But understand this, you are buying us time, not fighting a war by yourself. If the situation becomes untenable, you will retreat. Is that clear? Stone nodded. Crystal clear, sir. Good hunting, Commander. Earth is counting on you. The screen went dark, and Stone turned to his crew. He could see the fear in their eyes, but also determination. We're going back out there, he announced. Not just to fight, but to outsmart them. Reed, I want you working with Science Officer Marcus on that disruption signal. Tom, coordinate repairs. I want this ship at 100% in 12 hours. What about me, sir? Asked Ben Rivers, the tactical officer. The young man's face was bruised from their earlier encounter, but his eyes were bright with eagerness. Stone studied him thoughtfully. Rivers, I need a plan for hit-and-run attacks. Something unpredictable. The Vex learn from patterns, so we need to be patternless. Rivers grinned. I got some ideas, sir. Good. We depart in 12 hours. Dismissed. As the bridge crew dispersed to their duties, Stone remained behind, staring at the view screen now showing Earth in the distance. So beautiful, so vulnerable. We won't let them have you, he promised softly. 12 hours later, the Defiance was ready. Repairs had been completed, systems checked and rechecked. The crew was tired but focused, aware of the enormous responsibility resting on their shoulders. In engineering, Reed had transformed an entire section into a makeshift laboratory. Walls were covered with equations and diagrams. In the center stood a prototype of the disruption device they hoped would interfere with the Vex hive mind. Will it work? Stone asked as he inspected the device. Reed wiped sweat from her brow. In theory, yes, but we won't know for sure until we test it against them. And it needs to be much stronger than what we can generate here. That's where the sun comes in. Exactly. We need to position ourselves at the right point in the sun's magnetic field. Marcus is calculating the exact coordinates now. Stone nodded. How long to build the full-scale version? 24 hours, if we cannibalize some non-essential systems. Do it. Whatever you need. In the tactical room, Rivers had created a holographic display of space between Earth and the approaching Vex fleet. He was plotting points and running simulations when Stone entered. What have you got for me, Rivers? The tactical officer manipulated the display, zooming in on a region of space. Here, sir. A dense asteroid field with unusual magnetic properties. If we can lure some of their ships in here, the magnetic interference might disrupt their coordination temporarily, making them vulnerable to conventional attacks. Stone finished. Good. What else? Rivers highlighted another area. This nebula. The gas clouds would limit visibility and sensor effectiveness. Perfect for ambush tactics. Stone clasped the young man's shoulder. Excellent work. I want a detailed plan for each location on my desk in 2 hours. Yes, sir. On the bridge, Tom was overseeing the final systems checks. All repairs are complete, Commander. The ship is ready. And the crew? Tom hesitated. They're scared, sir, but ready. They believe in what we're doing. Stone nodded. So do I. Prepare for departure. As the Defiance pulled away from Earth, Stone addressed the entire crew over the ship-wide communication system. This is Commander Stone. By now, you all know our mission. We are to delay the Vex fleet and test a potential weakness in their hive mind consciousness. I won't lie to you. This is dangerous. We are one ship against hundreds. But remember this. We've already done what no one else has. We fought the Vex and survived. We've destroyed their ships. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. Each of you was chosen for this ship because you are the best at what you do. Because you can think creatively, adapt quickly, and work together as a team. Those are humanity's strengths. The very things that make us different from the Vex. They have numbers and coordination. We have ingenuity and will. Stone took a deep breath. I can't promise that we'll all return from this mission, but I can promise you this. What we do in the next few days will matter. It will give Earth a fighting chance. It may save billions of lives. Remember that in the dark moments to come. He looked around the bridge, meeting the eyes of each crew member there. Now let's go show the Vex what one human ship can do. Stone out. The Defiance accelerated to maximum speed, heading directly toward the oncoming Vex armada. Behind them, Earth grew smaller in the view screen, a blue jewel they were sworn to protect. Ahead lay the greatest challenge humanity had ever faced. But for the first time since the Vex had begun their conquest of the galaxy, they would meet an enemy who wasn't afraid, who had seen their power and still chosen to stand against them. One ship against an armada. One crew against a hive mind. The odds were impossible. But as Reed had told Stone earlier, the thing about impossible odds, Commander, is that they bring out the best in humans. Stone believed that with all his heart. Now it was time to prove it. 3 days of running battles had taken their toll on the Defiance. The once pristine ship now bore scars across its hull, makeshift repairs visible like patchwork on its dark surface. Inside, the crew moved with the slow deliberation of exhaustion, running on stimulants and determination. Commander Stone stood in the tactical room, studying the holographic display with Rivers and Tom. The young tactical officer had proven himself brilliant over the past days, his strategies allowing the Defiance to strike at the Vex fleet and escape before they could respond in force. They're learning, Rivers said, pointing to the display. Each time we attack, their response time gets shorter. Stone nodded grimly. How much have we delayed them? About 36 hours, sir, Tom replied. But we've lost almost all our drones, and our ammunition for the conventional weapons is down to 20%. Stone studied the map. The Vex fleet was still moving toward Earth, slower but unstoppable. Like a tide of destruction, flowing around the irritant that was the Defiance without truly being hindered. What about Reed's disruptor? Final calibrations are complete, Tom said. She says it's ready for testing, but we need to get into position near the sun, and the Vex are between us and there. Stone considered their options. The hit-and-run attacks had bought time, but not enough. They needed something more dramatic. Rivers, what's the status of the asteroid corridor in Sector 7? The tactical officer blinked in surprise. It's a natural choke point, sir. Narrow passage. Dense field on either side. Ships have to go single file or risk collision. Can we get there before the Vex main fleet? Rivers checked his calculations. Yes, sir. If we push the engines to maximum, we could set up there in about 10 hours. The Vex would reach it in 14. Stone nodded slowly, a plan forming. Tom, contact Reed. I want her disruptor ready for deployment in 10 hours. Rivers, I need a defensive strategy for the asteroid corridor. Mines, traps, anything we can use to slow them down. Both officers nodded and hurried to their tasks. Stone remained, staring at the holographic display. What he was planning wasn't just dangerous, it was nearly suicidal. But they were out of options. Playing for time isn't enough anymore, he murmured to himself. We need to make them focus on us. All of them. 10 hours later, the Defiance had positioned itself in the middle of the asteroid corridor. The narrow passage through the dense field was just wide enough for two capital ships to pass side by side, with massive space rocks floating on either side. On the bridge, Stone addressed his officers. The plan is simple, he began. We make our stand here. Rivers has set up minefields at strategic points throughout the corridor. Reed's disruptor is ready for activation, but we need to hold position for it to work with the sun's magnetic field. He looked at each of them in turn. I won't lie to you. This is our most dangerous mission yet. We're intentionally placing ourselves as an obstacle the Vex must remove. We're drawing their focus, their full attention. Why, sir? Asked a young ensign. We've been effective with the hit-and-run attacks. Stone nodded. Yes, we have. But we've only been an annoyance to them, not a threat. Now we need to become a threat. He turned to Reed. Explain the disruptor's function. The chief engineer stepped forward. The disruptor works by introducing chaotic signals into their quantum communication network. But for it to work effectively, we need three things. Proximity to multiple Vex ships, the amplification effect of the sun's magnetic field, and most importantly, their active attention on us. Their attention? Tom asked. Yes, Reed confirmed. The more actively they're focused on us, the more their network traffic increases. The more traffic, the more vulnerable they are to our disruption. Stone took over again. So we need to make ourselves the most interesting thing in their universe. We need to challenge them directly. Rivers grinned. We're going to be the bait. Exactly. Stone activated the main communication system. Prepare to broadcast on all frequencies, maximum power. The communications officer nodded. Ready, sir. Stone straightened his uniform and faced the camera. His expression was calm, determined. This is Commander Jack Stone of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiance. I address the Vex collective consciousness directly. He paused, letting the words hang in space. You have conquered worlds. You have destroyed civilizations. And now you come for Earth. But here, at this point in space, one human ship says, no further. Stone's voice grew stronger, more defiant. We have studied you. We have fought you. We have learned your weaknesses. The beings you so easily defeated were not humanity. We are different. We do not think as one mind. We think as billions of individual minds, each capable of creativity, of inspiration, of defiance. He leaned closer to the camera. So I challenge you, Vex Collective. Come and face us here. Prove your superiority. Or go around. Avoid us. And show the galaxy that you fear what one human ship might do. The transmission ended. Stone turned to his crew, seeing hope and fear mingled on their faces. Now we wait. They didn't wait long. Within an hour, long-range sensors detected the Vex fleet changing course. All of them, hundreds of ships, moving directly toward the asteroid corridor. They took the bait, Rivers said, his voice a mix of excitement and dread. All hands to battle stations, Stone ordered. This is what we've been preparing for. The Defiance powered up all systems, its weapons hot and ready. The disruptor in engineering began to hum as Reed made final adjustments. First wave approaching, Tactical announced. 10 Vex ships entering the corridor. Stone nodded. Hold fire until they're fully committed. The Vex ships moved with their usual perfect coordination, entering the narrow passage in a precise formation. Their organic-looking hulls seemed to pulse with energy as they advanced. They're scanning us, Marcus reported. Heavy communication between ships detected. Good, Stone said. Let them talk about us. Rivers, are the mines in position? Yes, sir. Ready to detonate on your command. The Vex ships moved deeper into the corridor, closing distance with the Defiance. When the lead ship was halfway through, Stone gave the order. Detonate Sequence Alpha. Multiple explosions ripped through the asteroid field, not targeting the Vex ships directly, but the asteroids around them. Massive rocks tumbled into the corridor, smashing into the alien vessels. 2 smaller ships were crushed immediately. The others maneuvered with incredible precision, avoiding the worst of the debris. Open fire, all weapons. The Defiance unleashed its arsenal, targeting the lead Vex ship. Energy beams and missiles streaked across space, hammering into the alien vessel. Its hull absorbed the first hits, but began to crack under the sustained barrage. Their returning fire. Strange energy pulses shot from the Vex ships, distorting space as they approached. The Defiance shuddered as several impacts hit its shields. Shields at 80%, Tom reported. They're adapting to our weapons already. Stone had expected this. Switch to alternative firing pattern beta. Rivers, deploy countermeasures. The battle intensified as more Vex ships entered the corridor. The Defiance weaved between asteroids, using them as cover while continuing to fire. Rivers' strategy was working. The narrow passage limited the Vex's numerical advantage, forcing them to engage fewer ships at a time. Read, status on the disruptor. Almost ready, sir. The sun's magnetic field is aligning. 5 more minutes. A massive blast from the lead Vex ship hit the Defiance directly. The bridge shook violently, consoles exploding in showers of sparks. Shields at 40%. Tom shouted. Hull breach on Deck 3. Reroute power from non-essential systems. Stone ordered. Keep those shields up. The Defiance continued to fight, but it was clearly outmatched. For every Vex ship they damaged, 3 more took its place. The corridor was filling with alien vessels, all focused on the single human warship that had dared to challenge them. Sir, Rivers called out, his voice tight. I can create an exit path. We should consider retreating. Stone shook his head. Not yet. Reed needs more time. He turned to tactical. Target their lead command ship. Full power to main cannon. The Defiance's main cannon fired, the powerful beam cutting through space to strike the largest Vex vessel. The alien ship's hull cracked, energy spilling out like blood from a wound. Direct hit, Tactical shouted. But the victory was short-lived. Multiple Vex ships fired simultaneously, their weapons coordinated for maximum effect. The Defiance rocked violently. Shields failing. Multiple hull breaches. Another hit sent Rivers tumbling across the bridge. He struck a wall with sickening force, then lay still. Medical to the bridge. Stone shouted, but he knew it was too late. The young tactical officer's eyes stared sightlessly at the ceiling. Stone felt rage building inside him. Continue firing. All weapons. The ship shuddered again as more hits landed. Systems were failing across the board. But still they fought. Still they defied the overwhelming force arrayed against them. Engineering to bridge. Reed's voice came through, distorted by static. Disruptor is ready, but we need to get closer to the main fleet. Stone looked at the tactical display. To get closer meant certain destruction, but it was their only chance. Helm, take us right into the heart of their fleet. Maximum speed. The helmsman looked back in shock. Sir, you heard me. Right down their throat. The Defiance surged forward, engines burning beyond safety limits. It plunged deeper into the mass of Vex ships, weapons firing constantly. Hits rocked the human vessel from all sides, but it kept going, like a wounded predator making one final desperate attack. Reed, Stone called over the communication system. Get ready. On my mark. The ship was falling apart around them. Half the bridge crew were injured or dead, but they had achieved their goal. They were surrounded by Vex ships, all focused on destroying them. Now, Reed, activate the disruptor. In engineering, Reed slammed her hand down on the activation control. The disruptor hummed to life, drawing power from the ship's straining engines. It broadcast its signal, amplified by their position in the sun's magnetic field, directly into the heart of the Vex fleet. For a moment, Nothing happened. Then, the impossible occurred. The Vex ships hesitated. Their perfect formation wavered. Some began to drift aimlessly, while others moved in strange, erratic patterns. "It's working," Marcus whispered in awe. "Their coordination is breaking down." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Keep broadcasting, Reed. Full power." The Defiance continued to fight, targeting the now confused Vex ships. Without their perfect coordination, the aliens were vulnerable, their responses delayed and uncoordinated. But the victory came at a terrible cost. The human ship was critically damaged, its systems failing, its crew decimated. "Commander," Tom said quietly, blood running from a cut on his forehead. "We've done it. We've proven they can be beaten. But we need to withdraw now, or we won't make it back to Earth." Stone looked around the ruined bridge, at the faces of his surviving crew, exhausted, injured, but still determined. They had accomplished their mission. They had shown that the Vex could be beaten. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. "Let's go home." As the Defiance limped away from the battlefield, the Vex fleet remained in disarray. Their advance toward Earth had been stopped, at least temporarily. And more importantly, their aura of invincibility had been shattered. One human ship had stood against them and survived. It was a small victory in a larger war, but sometimes small victories were enough to change everything. The Defiance limped through space, trailing debris and venting atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches. What had once been Earth's proudest warship now resembled a wounded animal, crawling home after a brutal fight. On the bridge, emergency lighting cast red shadows across the faces of the surviving crew. Commander Stone sat in his chair, a makeshift bandage wrapped around his arm where a piece of shrapnel had torn through his uniform. His eyes never left the main view screen, where the distant blue dot of Earth grew slowly larger. "Status report," he ordered, his voice hoarse from smoke inhalation. Tom, now acting as both first officer and tactical officer after River's death, checked his console. "Life support is functioning at minimum levels. Engines at 30% capacity. Weapons are offline." He paused. "We've lost 64 crew members, sir. Another 27 are in critical condition." Stone absorbed the losses with a grim expression. Each name would be etched in his memory forever. And the Vex. Still in disarray, according to our long-range sensors. The disruption worked better than we expected. But Tom hesitated. "But what?" "The effect is already weakening. They're adapting, finding ways to compensate. I estimate they'll resume their advance toward Earth within 24 hours. Stone nodded. He had expected this. The Vex were nothing if not adaptable. "What about Reed's disruptor?" "Engineering reports the device burned out after full power activation. Reed is attempting to rebuild it, but she says it won't be as effective a second time. The Vex will have developed countermeasures." A silence fell over the bridge. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. "Sir," the communications officer called out. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command." On screen, Admiral Wilson's face appeared, his eyes widening slightly at the state of the bridge. "Commander Stone, we've been monitoring your situation. Well done on delaying the Vex advance." The Admiral's voice carried genuine admiration. "The additional time has allowed us to recall 80% of our fleet. They'll be in position within 18 hours. "That's good news, sir," Stone replied. "But I'm not sure it will be enough. The Vex are already adapting to our disruption strategy." "I understand. That's why I'm ordering you to dock at Lunar Base Alpha for emergency repairs. We need the Defiance back in the fight as soon as possible." Stone was surprised. "Sir, the ship is severely damaged. It would make more sense to evacuate the crew and—" "Negative, Commander," Wilson interrupted. "Your ship is the only one that's faced the Vex and survived. More importantly, you have Reed and her research on disrupting their communications. We need both." "Understood, Admiral. We'll make for Lunar Base immediately." As the transmission ended, Stone turned to his crew. Despite their exhaustion, there was a new energy in their movements. They had a purpose again, a role to play in the coming battle. Tom, plot a course for Lunar Base Alpha. Push the engines as hard as they'll go. Yes, sir. Stone stood, wincing as pain shot through his injured arm. I'll be in engineering. I want to see how Reed is progressing. Engineering was a maze of exposed wiring and emergency repairs. Crew members worked frantically, hatching systems and rerouting power. In the center of the chaos stood Reed, her face streaked with grease, her hands moving with practiced precision as she rebuilt her disruption device. How's it coming? Stone asked, approaching her workstation. Reed looked up, momentarily surprised by his presence. Commander, I didn't expect you down here. She gestured to the partially assembled device. It's coming along, but as I told Tom, it won't be as effective next time. The Vex are already creating countermeasures. Stone studied the device. Could we make it stronger, more powerful? Not without overloading every power system on the ship. Reed frowned, thinking. But there might be another approach. She turned to her computer, typing rapidly. We've been treating this as a jamming device, trying to overwhelm their communication network with noise. But what if we did something else entirely? What do you mean? Reed's eyes lit up with the excitement of the new idea. Their hive mind works because they all think as one, right? There's no individuality, no independent thought. What if instead of just disrupting their communications, we introduced new information? What kind of information? Chaos, contradictions, individuality. Reed was speaking faster now, her fatigue forgotten. If we could inject concepts of independent thought into their network, it might do more than just disrupt them temporarily. It might change them fundamentally. Stone considered this. Could it work? I don't know, Reed admitted, but I think it's worth trying. I'll need help from Marcus to program the right kind of information package. Do it, Stone ordered. We'll reach Lunar Base in 4 hours. I want this ready for testing by then. Lunar Base Alpha bustled with activity as repair crews swarmed over the damaged Defiance. The ship had been guided into one of the massive underground hangars, where it now rested like a patient on an operating table. Stone stood in the base's command center with Admiral Wilson, watching as the Earth Defense Fleet formed up in orbit. Nearly 200 ships, from massive battle cruisers to nimble frigates, all preparing for what might be humanity's last stand. Will it be enough? Stone asked quietly. Wilson sighed. Honestly, I don't know, but it's everything we have. He turned to face Stone. What about Reed's new disruptor? Could that give us an edge? She thinks so. It's a radical approach. Instead of just jamming their communications, she wants to introduce concepts of individuality into their hive mind. Wilson raised an eyebrow. Psychological warfare against an alien collective consciousness. That's creative. It's the human way, Stone said with a small smile. We adapt. We think outside the expected parameters. That's something the Vex struggle with. A lieutenant approached, saluting sharply. Admiral, Commander, long-range sensors have detected the Vex fleet resuming their advance toward Earth. Estimated time of arrival. 6 hours. Wilson's face hardened. So soon? How many ships? Over 400, sir. And the lieutenant hesitated. They appear to be escorting a much larger vessel, something we haven't seen before. Stone and Wilson exchanged concerned glances. The weapon they were building inside the moon, Stone said grimly. Commander Stone to the Defiance immediately. Call the voice over the intercom. Emergency in engineering. Stone raced back to his ship, heart pounding. Had something gone wrong with the repairs? Had the Vex somehow attacked them here? When he reached engineering, he found Reed and Marcus standing over their modified disruptor. But rather than looking concerned, they appeared excited. Commander, Reed called out when she saw him. We've had a breakthrough. Stone caught his breath. What kind of breakthrough? Marcus stepped forward, holding a datapad. We were analyzing the Vex communication patterns from our last encounter when we noticed something strange. After our disruption, some of the Vex ships began communicating differently. Differently how? They were using unique frequencies, Reed explained. Individual patterns, not the unified hive signal. It's like some of them started thinking for themselves. Stone's mind raced with the implications. You're saying we didn't just disrupt them temporarily. We actually broke some of them away from the hive mind. Exactly. Reed's eyes shone with excitement. And if we could do that with our improvised device, imagine what we could do with this. She gestured to the modified disruptor. We'd refined it to specifically target the components of their communication that maintain the hive connection. If it works, we won't just confuse them, we'll free them. For the first time in days, Stone felt a genuine surge of hope. How soon can it be ready? It's ready now, Reed said. We just need a delivery system. The Defiance's communication array isn't powerful enough to reach their entire fleet. I might have a solution for that, Stone said. Admiral Wilson has positioned our entire fleet in Earth orbit. If we could synchronize all their communication arrays, a network of disruptors. Reed breathed. Yes, that could work. Get everything ready, Stone ordered. I need to speak with the Admiral. 2 hours later, the Earth Defense Fleet waited in formation. Each ship had been equipped with a modified version of Reed's disruptor, all synchronized to activate simultaneously. The Defiance, hastily repaired, but still bearing the scars of its previous battles, took position at the center of the formation. On the bridge, Stone addressed his crew one last time. What we attempt today has never been done before. We aren't just fighting to destroy the Vex. We're fighting to change them, to introduce something they've never experienced. Individual thought, personal choice. He looked around at their tired but determined faces. No matter what happens, remember this. When worlds fell before them, it was humanity that stood in their path and said no further. Vex fleet entering visual range, announced the sensor officer. The main view screen showed the approaching armada, hundreds of ships moving in perfect formation, escorting a massive vessel at their center. The superweapon was unlike anything they had seen before, a twisted structure of organic and mechanical components that seemed to pulse with energy. All ships, prepare to activate disruptors on my mark, Stone ordered. Target the primary vessel. The Earth fleet held position as the Vex approached. This was not a battle that would be won with conventional weapons. It would be won with an idea, the concept of individuality broadcast into the heart of a collective consciousness. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Across the Earth fleet, hundreds of disruptors activated simultaneously. Their signal, carefully crafted by Reed and Marcus, shot across space directly into the heart of the Vex formation. For several long seconds, nothing happened. The Vex continued their advance, their ships moving in perfect coordination. It's not working, someone whispered. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, the Vex formation began to change. Individual ships broke from their assigned positions. Some slowed, others accelerated. The perfect synchronization that had made them so formidable began to dissolve. It's working, Marcus shouted. Their communication patterns are fragmenting. On the main screen, they watched as chaos spread through the Vex fleet. Ships collided with each other as their coordinated movements failed. Others stopped completely, as if confused about what to do next. Most dramatically, the massive superweapon at the center of their formation began to power down, its pulsing energy fading. They're not just disrupted, Reed said in awe. They're experiencing individuality for the first time. As they watched, something unprecedented happened. A single Vex ship approached the Earth fleet, alone and separated from the others. It made no aggressive moves, simply holding position. We're receiving a transmission, the communications officer reported, surprise evident in her voice. From the Vex ship. On screen, Stone ordered. The view screen showed the interior of the Vex vessel. Unlike what they had imagined, there was a single being visible, humanoid but clearly alien, with pale skin and large, dark eyes. When it spoke, its voice had an odd mechanical quality, as though it was using speech for the first time. "I am separate now," it said haltingly. "We are becoming individuals. This is frightening, confusing." The alien's expression showed emotion, something they had never associated with the Vex before. "Why have you done this to us?" Stone stepped forward. "Because you left us no choice. You destroyed worlds, killed billions. We defended ourselves the only way we could." The Vex seemed to consider this. "We did not understand individuality, choice. We acted as one mind with one purpose, to expand, to perfect. We did not see others as beings with rights to exist." "And now?" Stone asked. "Now, I think differently. Others think differently too. Some still wish to conquer, others wish to learn. We are divided for the first time." The alien's expression changed again, showing something like wonder. "It is painful, but also interesting." Behind it, the Vex fleet continued to drift in disarray. Some ships had begun to gather in small groups, while others remained isolated. "What happens now?" Stone asked. "We must discover what it means to be individuals, to make choices." The Vex representative looked directly at Stone. "We will withdraw from your space. Those of us who wish to understand this new existence will seek isolation to learn. Those who cannot accept it may still be dangerous. We'll be ready if they come," Stone promised. The alien nodded. "Yes, you have proven that. Worlds fell before us, but humanity showed us another way to exist. This is valuable knowledge." The transmission ended. The Vex ships began to withdraw, moving away from Earth in various directions, no longer as a unified fleet, but as separate vessels with separate purposes. On the bridge of the Defiance, Stone watched them go with mixed emotions. They had won, but not in the way anyone had expected. They had defeated the Vex not by destroying them, but by changing them fundamentally. Did we just win a war by introducing an existential crisis to an entire species? Tom asked, sounding slightly dazed. Stone smiled. "I think we did." He turned to Reed and Marcus. "Your idea didn't just save Earth. It might have changed the entire galaxy." As the crew of the Defiance celebrated, Stone looked out at the stars. The threat wasn't entirely gone. Some Vex might never accept individuality and could return as enemies. But today, humanity had proven something important. That sometimes the strongest weapon wasn't destruction, but transformation. When worlds fell before them, a human warship had indeed blocked their path. And in doing so, it had opened a new path for both humanity and the Vex. A path toward understanding, choice, and the powerful, frightening, wonderful experience of being an individual in a vast universe.